Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this super simple, very easy, beginner friendly top. It's just a tank top. I mean, you can wear it as is like I did in the photos. You can wear it underneath a shirt, whatever you want to do with it. You can leave the straps off and make it a halter top or two top. You can make it longer than mine. You can make it shorter than mine. I am 5'3", as you see in the photos, and that's barely 5'3". And mine measures from top to bottom about 18 inches. So the length of your chain is going to be the length of your top. So if you want yours shorter, you want to start with a shorter amount of chains. If you want yours longer, then you want to start with a longer number of chains than I did. Remember, I'm barely 5'3", so that's how it looked on me. Now I'm going to give you, the thing is with this, it's very, very easy to adjust to any size woman, because it's made with one solid long piece, back and forth rows of the length, back and forth rows, and then till we get the width that we want. And then there's one seam that we sew together that runs down the side, or you could put it in the back if you prefer, wherever you want your seam to lay. That's it. And then you add the straps if you want, which are very easy. You make the straps any size that you want, and then you sew them on separately. If you want to leave the straps off, sure, that's fine too. It's completely up to you. But this is very beginner friendly and something very easy and quick for you know, someone who's super advanced and just wants to take a break and make something easy. This is it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you what I used. Now I used Lion brand Pima cotton. It is a 100% Pima cotton, and it is a medium weight number 4. I do recommend that you use a cotton yarn, or at least 50-50 cotton, because it won't stretch as much as acrylic. Now don't get me wrong, you can use acrylic. Any 4-weight yarn will work. I'm just saying, just remember that acrylic will have more of a stretch on it than cotton. So if you use acrylic, just keep that in mind. And that you know, that could be good for some people. Some people might want that. Now, this is my third skein, 186 yards. I went through about 500 yards for the size that I made. Now, I made it to fit my body. And then I'm going to be using a size I, which is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. Okay, so if you like the length of mine, I chained 67 chains. 67 is what I did for the length of mine, and it made it approximately 18 inches. Remember, barely 5'3". You can chain in any number of chains. It does not matter. There's no multiple for your length. So however long you want your piece to be, that's how long you chain. So I did chain 67. And then what we do, I'm going to show you on a smaller scale, is we do a double crochet in the 4th stitch from the hook, like that. And then we're going to work across the chain, and we're going to do 1 double crochet in every stitch for the length of the chain. Just like this. So when you get to the end of the row, if you're following me, you'll have 65 stitches. Now, if you made yours longer or shorter, you'll have 2 less stitches than what you chained. So it's very easy from here on out. The row 2 is the repeat row. We chain 1 and we turn our work. We are going to work a 1 double crochet in the front loop up only of every stitch. So starting with this very first stitch right here, we're going to yarn over, and you see how each loop has 2 Each stitch has 2 loops. The one closest to it is the front loop. The one furthest away is the back loop. We want to go through 1 loop only, and we want to go through the front loop. So the one closest to us, and we double crochet. And then we're going to put 1 double crochet through that front loop only of every single stitch until we get to the end of the row. Now what I like to do to try to keep, sometimes when you're working in just 1 loop like that, they tend to stretch. What I like to do to try to keep that from happening is when I go into that 1 loop and I yarn over and pull through, I'll hold it right there with my thumb, the loop, so it doesn't stretch that much. And if you know a better way, that's fine. That's just kind of how I keep it from stretching. And we do this until we get to the end of the row, and you'll always have the same amount of stitches. So following along with me, you'll have your 65 stitches. Your last stitch here on row 2 will be that chain, so just kind of go right into the top of that and double crochet. Now we're going to repeat it again. We're going to chain 1 and turn, and as you can see, it made kind of a line there. So we're going to yarn over into this very first stitch. We go into the very first loop. That first one's kind of always the hardest to get there. And then we work along the chain, working 1 double crochet into each front loop only. And we continue doing this. We'll always have the same amount of stitches for whatever length you made your chain. You know, it's your shirt. You make it however long, however short you want it. And we're going to keep doing this until we get the measurement of our waist. So, I'm not super comfortable telling you the measurement of my waist, so I will just show you what we'll do. So we keep working rows and rows of double crochet in the front loop only, okay? And we just keep doing that. And you want to do that until your piece measures. You take your tape measure. Every woman's body is different, so this is why it's so easy to adapt this to any woman's body. You measure until you around your waist. Let's just pretend right now. We're going to pretend like your waist is, you measure your waist and say it's 30 inches, okay? Continue this until your piece reaches 30.5 inches, okay? Say you're bigger. Say your waist is 48 inches. Continue repeating that row until you get 48.5 inches. Say you're small. Say you want to make it for a child. Say the child has a 15-inch waist. Repeat it until you reach 15.5 inches in length. This way. Okay? Every woman is different, so you have to measure yourself. I kept trying my piece on, also wrapping it around me. So it's kind of just, you know, you crochet, you measure, try it on, crochet, measure, try it on. And you do that until you get it to the length that you want it, or the width that you want it to be. And then we're going to sew it together. Now, I'm going to tell you one thing here before I show you how to sew it together. When I sewed mine together, if you make yours much longer than mine, you might want to leave a 2 or 3 inch slit here at the sewing point to accommodate the hips. Because I noticed if mine was much longer, it would have been pretty tight on my hips, and the slit would have eased that pressure on the hips. So if you're wanting a longer top than mine, just remember, keep a 2 or 3 inch slit there to stop stop slip stitching it together right there, leave it open, and that will accommodate for any tightness around the hips, because I don't mention that when I'm sewing that together. So you just continue this until you get your waist measurement plus that 1/2 inch. Like I said, we add that 1/2 inch. That's just to accommodate for slip stitching it together and everything. And then I'll show you how to slip stitch it up. Okay, so once you get your piece as wide as your waist is, all we're gonna do now is slip stitch it together. So take your piece here. Oops, I lost a couple stitches. If you prefer sewing it, you can do that if you want. It's really up to you. But you take your piece and fold it together. Doesn't matter which way you fold it. Both sides look the same. Okay, you're folding it the long way. So here's the end that I started, the first row that I started, and here's the row that I just left off on, and that's the way I folded it in half. So lengthways, you can see the lines now run vertical. Make it look slimmer, I think. Ain't that right? Got lines that run vertical. I think that's supposed to make you look slimmer. I don't know if that's going to work out for me, but we'll give it a go. Okay, so now to slip stitch it together, I'm going to be going through both loops. So go ahead and go through the very first loop on this piece, and then you go to your other piece over here and make sure you get this very first stitch here that your starting string is connected to, and go through that and slip stitch. And now I'm going to work across. I'm going to go through the next stitch on this piece, and I'm going to match it up with the next stitch on the back piece and slip stitch. And I'm going to do this all the way down. Next stitch, and then the next stitch on the back piece and slip stitch. And then when we're done, we'll flip it inside out. Since both sides look the same, it doesn't really matter, you know, which side you start with. We'll go all the way down until we get to the end, slip stitching it together just like this. Got a little bright light there, didn't I? I'm sorry about that. And then we'll flip it right side out. And then we'll start on the straps if you want straps. I guess you can leave it as a tube top if you want, but I'm gonna put some straps on mine. Just make sure you match up the correct stitches. That way when you get to the end, you don't have any stitches left over. And everything lines up perfect. See how easy that is? Very, very easy. And remember, I said you can sew this. If you prefer to use a yarn and needle, you can just sew it together that way too. I'm just doing it with a slip stitch because it's just faster this way for me. But I use a yarn and a needle sometimes. Alright, I'm going to flip this out real quick and see what the seam looks like from the other side. Looks good. Alright, so I'm going to continue slip stitching all the way to the top, and I'll meet you up there. Alright, so I got mine all sewed up there. You can see my seam from the slip stitch. And I went ahead and hid my tails. So I'm going to flip my work right side out now. So now you have your top. Now what we got to do is try it on and see where we want to put the straps. Now that's all going to depend on how you're going to wear your top, because ladies, some ladies wear their tops differently. So this is what you need to do. Now, if you plan on wearing this top as is, as a tube top, that's fine. You can be done. Now, if you want to add straps, where you put your straps determines on, you know, every lady's body's different. Now, if you plan on wearing a bra with this, you would want to put your bra on first and then try it on. and mark off where, which with stitch markers or something, approximately where you would want your straps to lay. Now, some women don't wear bras under shirts like this, and if you plan on wearing it without a bra, you would want to try it on without the bra, and then use your stitch markers or something to mark out approximately where you want your straps to be, and then we can adjust and make sure they're equal once we try it on and, you know, just get a quick estimate of approximately where we want our straps to lay. So go ahead and try it on real quick and get your measurement of about where you think your straps should go. Okay, so I tried mine on. I didn't place stitch markers, but I determined I wanted about 9 or 10 rows in between my straps. So I want to make sure I get the same amount on the front as I do on the back. So I'm just going to count. Yep. I'm going to place the stitch marker there. There's 9. So I got 9 rows. Now these stitch markers are being placed at 9 rows for me, wherever you want yours to be. So actually my straps are going to go on the next row, and I want to do that, make sure I get the same amount on the opposite side, so we have even straps. Just counting them from your sides. Line up my pieces here, my stitch mark pieces. Count my rows in between them. Perfect! Perfect! I did it! Okay, now strap wise. Now this is something that you're also going to have to measure for. I actually took a tape measure. You can, again, try it on your body, and you know, you're just going to have to chain and try it on, chain and try it on. Or I took a tape measure and I measured where approximately I wanted my straps to lay on my chest, and on my, not on this, but on my chest, approximately where I wanted the shirt to fall on my chest. And I took a tape measure and I placed it there, and I put it over my shoulder, and I put it to where approximately I wanted it to rest on my back. And then that's how many inches I chained. And I chained it actually 1 more inch, because, and you want to make sure your chain stretched to that amount. Stretch it, chain it to the amount that you used on your tape measure for. Make sure you measure your chain stretched out, because your straps they'll stretch if you don't do that first, and they'll probably stretch a bit anyways, so it doesn't hurt to make them a little shorter, because when you get them on, they will stretch a bit anyways. So the number that you chain doesn't really matter. Just make sure you chain the same amount for each side. So what we're going to do for the straps is just basic single crochet strap. You can do, I'm going to do 1 row of single crochets for my strap. If you want thicker straps, you can do 2 rows. It's up to you. It's your shirt. But in order to make it look really clean, remember, whatever number here you chained, it really just depends on your body and how low you want your tank to hang. Remember, try it on, and remember, we're going to be folding it over a bit to sew it together, so add about another inch or so to account for that. So what we're going to do to make the chain nice and clean is we're going to be crocheting through the back bump of the row. So we do a single crochet in the second stitch and hook, but flip your work over. Now you see how there are, I stretched it so tight. You see those little bumps in the back? That's what we're going to be going into, that 1 loop there in the back. That will make a clean chain. So in the second stitch from your hook, flip it over, and there's this one loop right here in the back. Go through that and single crochet like that. And then you go to the next stitch. You see that one bump there? It's in the back of your chain. I have my chain flipped backwards now, and go into it and single crochet. Here's the front of the chain. Flip your chain, and you'll see that one lone loop there, or that little bump. That's the one you want to go through and chain, or single crochet through it, just like that. And that's what we're going to do all the way down. That makes the edge of your piece clean. You wouldn't have to single crochet around it again. It takes a bit more time to do it this way, but it's worth it because it makes it look neater. So I'm going to continue going through that back bump only all the way down my entire chain. And I'm going to make 2 straps the exact same. Now remember, if you feel like this isn't thick enough and you want it thicker, when you get to the end, you can turn your work, chain 1, turn your work, and go back up again with another row of single crochet. Just make sure you make your straps, both of them match exactly the same number of stitches. Okay, now I got my straps made, both of them the same, and I left a long tail for sewing. There'll be a lot less stretch if you're using cotton yarn versus acrylic. So this is how I sewed mine on. I already got one sewed on. It's very simple. The only thing you want to make sure that you do is that you don't twist your straps while you're when you're sewing them on. So make sure you sew them on the right side. This would be the back of your single crochet. This would be the front. So sew them on. I'm sewing mine on in the next space over. So I'm going in between. So here's my row. Let me focus in a little bit better. And I'm sorry, here is where I'm sewing them. Here's the first double crochet. Here's the second double crochet. I'm going to bring my strap from the front. This is the front of my work, through that hole there between the second and third double crochet. Here's 1, 2, and right there would be 3. Pull it through from the top and through the back. I'm going to use that tail there to sew. And now I'm just going to put a few stitches like this and sew it together with my yarn needle. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I take my yarn needle in one of my tails, and I'm just barely, right there at the top, right there. I'm not making it come way up. You can try it on and see if you need to make it come up and sew it up further, but I'm gonna go by my measurement, and hopefully I don't have to adjust it. And now I'm gonna do a few stitches here just to sew it. So it doesn't come undone. I'm sewing from front to back, sewing on from just the strap. I'm not going into my top. I guess you could go into your top, it really wouldn't matter, but just sew it on a few times to where you feel like the strap's secure. And then you would take it and you would hide these tails that you have remaining. Now you'd flip to the other side and take your strap and make sure that it's not twisted when you sew it on to this side. I'm going to move that stitch marker. So flatten it out straight. You can see the wrong side of the strap facing me. Make sure you don't twist it and bring it forward. So when you bring it forward, the front of your strap is facing you. And you do the same thing over here. You go through the, you go through the second and third, the hole in between the second and third double crochet through the front of your work. So here's double crochet number 1. Oh my gosh, it's so hard. Okay, here's double crochet number 1, double crochet number 2, and double crochet number 3. I want to go between 2 and 3 without twisting my strap. It's very important not to twist it. Go into that hole and bring it forward like that, and then sew it on. Now you'll have to, there's no tails on this end, so you'll have to get another piece of yarn and load up your yarn needle, and you sew it the same way. Take it, I'm sewing it at the very edge there. I'm going to go through the straps. I'm going to leave a tail there so I have something to sew later. I'm going to do it just a couple times. I'm actually going to knot the tail right now with the main piece so it doesn't come undone. Couple knots, and then we can sew that tail in too later at the end. But now I'm going to keep knotting. I think I knotted it and it still came undone, so I will knot it again. Anyways, this is how you sew on the straps. It's real easy. Or if you know a better way to get them sewed on than me, that's fine. This is just the basic, easy way to make a tank top for someone that wants a tank top to wear, or to wear underneath clothes or whatever. I'm having a hard time here. I don't even think I'm getting my strap. There, I did. Now let me put a knot in it. This is a knot going on the back, so you won't notice it. And after you get one strap on, I recommend trying it on again and make sure it's in the right spot for your other strap. Feel like it needs to come down a little bit. You could only, if you want, just put a couple stitches in it. Loose, you know, a couple stitches in it. Try it on, make sure it lays where you want it to, and then sew it on more if it's right. If it's wrong, you can take out them couple stitches and maybe, if it's too loose, pull it up a little bit more in the back. If it's too tight, let a bit more loose come down. But remember, it stretches a bit, especially if it's acrylic. I'm using cotton. It's not going to stretch as much as acrylic, but still will have some stretch. But anyways, this is just the easy way to sew a strap on, back and forth. And the straps don't have to be, I mean, you want them sewed on tight, but the shirt should still stay in place pretty well. There we go. Now I'm going to do another knot here in the back. And then I'm going to weave and hide these tails, and that should be it. I know my video was probably super confusing, and I apologize for that, but if I don't give out numbers, I'm all confused myself. So I'm just trying to, but I know every woman's body is different, so you have to adjust accordingly to your body. You know, all parts of a woman's body is different, so that's why this is the easiest way to make a tank, to adjust to your own body preference, you know, by getting your waist measurement and going from there. So hopefully it wasn't too confusing. It probably was. But I'm going to hide the rest of these tails, and then it's finished once you get all your tails in. Remember, though, it is important to try it on periodically when you're putting your straps on after you get a couple stitches in it, just to make sure they're laying where you want them to lay, where they're not too loose. And remember, if you're wearing it with the bra, to try it on with the bra, because that would make a difference of how your straps lay. I can imagine, anyways. I would imagine that it would. But that's it. That's all there is to this video. I know it was probably me stuttering all over the place. Not easy to follow, like I said. If I don't have specific stitch counts to give you, it's hard for me to explain how to make something to adjust to your body. I tried, though. If you didn't like it, you can give me a thumbs down. I can handle it. But if you did like it, you found it informative, hopefully you did, but you may not have. Stick to my other tutorials where I give where I give stitch counts, and that might be better. But If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. A share. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. If you make this or anything else, I'd really like to see a picture of it on Instagram. Even if it's something that I didn't show you how to make, and you want to show me, you can show me on my Instagram feed. Hashtag Bagoday Crochet, and I will see it and check it out. But that's it. I really hope you're able to follow along. But remember, this shirt's good just to wear as a tank for summer. It's good to wear as a tank for underneath a shirt, or however you want to wear it. But that's it. Until next time. Let's check it out. That's mine. I guess I gotta put it on and try it on. I think it's gonna fit. Have a good day.
Hey everybody, it's Mr. Bod from Bagoday Crochet, and today I'm going to show you how to navigate Crystal's channel. First, you want to go to the main YouTube page. Next, you want to type Bagoday Crochet in the search blank and click search. Scroll down till you find the channel. There's Crystal, Bagoday Crochet. If you haven't subscribed, click subscribe. Click the bell. Click all to receive all notifications every time she uploads a video. Click on Bagoday Crochet. Here we are. Follow her on Instagram. Follow on Facebook. Visit the Etsy shop to find great patterns. Follow on Pinterest. Click videos to find all of the great Bagoday Crochet videos. Yarn hauls, tutorials, unboxings. Click playlists. Everything's organized so it's easy to find, and I'm sure you'll find something that you love. Welcome to our wonderful community, and as always, happy crocheting.